What's up, world?
I just, I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
They
Insert here.
Yo.
It's a terrible game. Bottom line. It's terrible in every way. Graphically, it's terrible. Gameplay is terrible. It's just terrible.
Angry Nick mad.
That game sucked, and it's gonna suck no matter how many revisions they make, and it just sucked even more because they put a Kinect with it.
Angry Nick mad. Or if there's violence, I'll just laugh and enjoy the fun.
Kaz Hazari.
Kaz Harai.
They just kind of got tired of Angry Nick on the first one and say, I'm going to pass.
Oh, yeah, so I do.
It's me.
Precisely.
No.
I
No.
do all my work.
No.
And
You
unfortunately,
guys are
I
so
don't.
cute.
Oh, thank you. I try.
I mean, let's face it, Mario and to a lesser extent Zelda is what carries Nintendo at this point.
Always be radical.
I love you, little podcast. You're the bestest thing ever.
For the promise of a new Super Smash Bros. And the Zelda game, yes.
You will not find a better story presented in any other game genre, in my personal opinion. Like, JRPGs have that. They have that story.
That's what the entire game felt like. Oh my god, I want to bang my head into a wall.
It's a podcast again? Can someone remind me? I thought it was a video game podcast.
You're listening to the Game Source Podcast.
Live too.
Cool. I saw the light come on.
Oh yeah, I forgot I have this light. It's live. You can
We're live. We can talk.
You're on live.
Is this thing on?
It is on.
Oh my god, it's the Super 8.
It's unlike Donkey Kong.
Here we are, Retro City Games one more time. Game night, July.
But before we go into it, there was, as far as probably the most important thing that's trending right now, on social media, and also probably the most important thing right now going on in video game world is
it's blowing up on my phone left and right now. So yes,
it's the unfortunate passing of the president of Nintendo, Satoru Iwata, at the age of 55 of cancer. So
July 12th, 2015.
I know I can safely speak for all of GameSource and obviously
Nintendo Quest, sure.
Pyre Productions, and everybody here at Retro City Games. Rest in peace, Mr. Iwata. And we just want to actually, from all of us, just want to issue, and if you're out there, as you can do as well, a moment of silence as far as it's concerned.
Literal silence, by the way. I just had to throw that in there.
All right.
So, literal moment.
Yeah,
I mean, I think what's cool is, people are going to deal with this news the way that they deal with it. Everybody processes stuff like this. But we're at game night where I think some of games that he was instrumental on are being celebrated.
We have
can't
half
celebrate
of his
a guy.
icons all listed throughout here. Back before he was even president, back during his CEO times and everything else. I think he's been an impact in everyone's life.
And that's correct. And just like you said, feel the impressions right here at game night because it's live. It's Game Source Podcast number 127, and we're here today at Retro City Games, Henderson, Nevada.
Jared, come on, give us a round of applause. All right.
And I'm here today with Chris, Killer X Wolf. And of course, one of the great members, as far as I hear, of the video game community.
As far as you hear?
Yes.
What else have you heard?
As far as I know.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
A little bit
better.
more assurance there.
Yes, for the video game community, it is Rob McCallum, director of Nintendo Quest. And before we get back into Iwata's legacy, tell us, please, all the update on what's going on with Nintendo Quest.
Lots happening. Of course, we had our world premiere weekend in Beverly Hills and Las Vegas not that long ago, but as much as we want to celebrate what happened that weekend, we're gearing up for Austin and Houston. So next stop, Austin, classic Game Fest. So if you're out there in Texas, you gotta come see us in Austin. It's going to be a massive con. They're predicting over 5,000 people, and with your price of admission, I believe it's on the Sunday. It hasn't been announced yet, but you get to come and check out Nintendo Quest. We have a huge panel of guests for people that appeared in the film, including Patrick Scott Patterson, Todd Rogers, Ben Gold. Of course, Jay's going to be down there. We have our GamerCast co-host Glenn Stanway making the drive down, so he'll be part of it. We're filming on the Power Tour, of course. That's an Austin. And then the next night, on Monday, July 27th, we get a screening at an Alamo Draft House. Now, for anybody that loves cinema and like the hardcore passionate, Alamo Draft House is like a mecca for us, right?
It literally is. It's like the indie house of all new films or all new passion. And they don't just do movies, they'll do live events. And
Everything.
They'll do all these cool things there. I've heard so much, and I've always wanted to go to Austin, and that's like the first place I will go. Is right there just to see whatever's there. I don't even.
There's lots of stuff. You'll love Austin.
Always
Trust
stuff
me.
there.
It's awesome. I lived in Houston for 3.5 years. Austin was always a favorite destination for me. It's good to be kind of go back and visit this. So it's kind of like a weird second homecoming for me since I lived there. So as you guys can tell with the Power Tour schedule, Vegas where I live, Houston where I used to live, eventually Canada where I'm from, we're kind of stacking the deck a little bit, but in a good way.
And also as well, if you want to know more about where the Nintendo Quest Power Tour is going to hit in 2015 or 2016, where can they go?
Possibly, yeah. You can just go to NintendoQuest.com. There's a link right to the screening so you can see what's happening. But Gerald, did you know that you can tug it in public now?
I heard about that and have read that.
Did you know that you can tug it in public in the U.S.?
Where? Like everywhere?
You can tug it anywhere in the U.S. publicly now.
And
does that count on stream?
You can tug. You can't stream while you tug it.
Okay.
But
how can they do that?
Basically, if you go to tug.com, which is our theatrical screening partner, you can request Nintendo Quest in a town near you.
Oh,
so
nice.
if you're in Florida or if you're in Colorado or one of these great cities that we wish we could have been in, you can now request it, and you basically just have to pre-sell X number of tickets by sharing the link, almost kind of like a Kickstarter.
Yeah.
I think it's like about 100 tickets, so get your 100 closest friends, team up with a local organization, a school, a gamers club, and Nintendo Quest will be coming to you in a theatrical venue, which is really exciting.
And then you also got your podcast as well, the Patreon as far as it's concerned, going strong for you.
Here with it, we're starting the plugs. Oh my god, I'm running out of breath. I love
Everywhere.
it. Our GamerCast is a top 10 podcast on gaming, much like Game Source, a little less news because we try to like kind of say what is the real meaning of this headline and how does it relate to everything in the gaming world. And you can go to Podomatic.com, so nesclub.podomatic.com, or you can subscribe on iTunes. And we just launched our Patreon page. And if you guys don't know what Patreon is, it's like a subscription-based podcast, but you get so much more for pennies on the dollar, essentially. You can join for $1 a month. So for $12 for a whole calendar year, you guys ready for this? You're going to get like 800 extra minutes of me, Jay, and Glenn talking games, let alone all the sneak peeks, the early access to videos, behind-the-scenes photos. Really, $1 a month. You gots to do it.
Absolutely.
Take my money now. You have to.
Here we go. Bam. A smart gentleman. We will just leave that right there.
Yes.
And if you have any questions as far as it's concerned, NintendoQuest.com, or where can they find you on Facebook and Twitter?
Well, Facebook is definitely one of our huge communities. Same with Twitter, as you mentioned. Facebook.com/the NES Club. You'll see it right there, the most unofficial Nintendo documentary ever, or at the NES Club. You can find us there.
Oh, sweet. And also, if you like us here at Game Source and you're watching on Twitch, well, you never know.
Everyone is. Everyone loves Game Source.
Angry Nick leaves that impression on people, but we won't go there.
That's his hat. It's not his fault. It's like that Bugs Bunny cartoon when they put on the different hats.
There you go.
It's the bear. It's the bear hat.
He says the ladies love the bear hat, but we won't go there. That's Game Source on Facebook and at Game Source on Twitter. And of course, our home site, yourgamesource.com. But
what's happening today? I know we have a big list of topics.
Like I said earlier today, the unfortunate passing of Satoru Iwata, the president and big guy on campus for Nintendo, unfortunately passed away from cancer.
Is it cancer now? I thought it was a growth on a bile duct. Is it related?
The official's growth of the bile duct, but depending on which social media status you see, you either see cancer or the bile duct. Didn't want to get too specific, for squeamish out there, but. Very unfortunate passing.
This audience, they're not worried about that if they're watching us three guys here.
Fair enough.
Retro City Night. Come on.
But very unfortunate passing. But what do you believe that his legacy? What do you think he is going to leave behind? He started out as president in 2002.
Sure.
Has been with Nintendo since the 80s.
Right.
Obviously, he's been instrumental in a great many progressiveness, a great many things, a great many positives for the company, but also a couple negatives as well. I had written an article one time a couple years ago regarding the direction of the company and where he was taking it. Before I put in my 2 cents more on that, your thoughts?
Well, I'm glad you got the history to back me up here, so I'm not going to step over the line too much. I think more than anything, he's going to be recognized as the guy that picked up the mantle and was able to carry it forward from basically a family legacy that had come before him. I believe it was essentially within the family until he came along in his tenure. By the year 2000, he was named director, and then 2 years later, he was named president. So he had all this on his shoulder as a non-family member for Nintendo. What do you do? And his first thing was the GameCube, of course, and then the Wii, which, I mean, there's a huge home run for him right there.
Absolutely.
And then the DS, of course, the 3DS.
Which ultimately proved to be the biggest as far as this concerned for him. Over the long haul, and that iteration to...
And that's all him. I mean, you could argue that GameCube, he wasn't maybe he was different instrumentally on it.
Yeah, right there.
Because it was right around the same time that he took over, but...
The Wii, the 2DS, 3DS, obviously the 3DS XL, and going into the Wii U, those are all probably will be his legacy, what he left behind. The great success of the Wii became a phenomenon like we've rarely ever seen in the video game industry. Chris, your thoughts?
I mean, it's the same kind of thing. It's just harder to process that he's all gone. And I mean, not his legacy. His legacy will always live on.
We knew something was going on the past 2 E3s when he was not able to travel to here from Japan. So we knew something was not happening right.
Yeah. And I don't think... I mean, everyone's got to be sad. But you can't just be sad that he's gone. He's done so much for us that I think it's something that we need to also carry on ourselves. And I mean, it's just like in any other culture. Maybe that's only here. We usually cry and we mourn when someone dies. But most other people, most other things, they live and they thrive. And even down in Mexico, they celebrate the dead because it brought them joy when they were here. It's kind of a thing that we also need to kind of do is...
Yeah.
Hey,
Well,
instead of
this is what
crying,
I'm saying,
let's
we're at game
pull
night.
out,
Yeah,
let's
exactly.
pull out an NES or let's pull out a GameCube. Let's pull out his original and go about that and play some Mario Sunshine or something. You know,
There you go.
Keep it
Mario
sunshiny.
Kart and whatnot. Yeah, there you go. As far as it's concerned, I do want to say though that the past couple of years were kind of rocky financially for the company, but he has left the company on a good note. They started showing profits late last year. Obviously, with the success of the new 3DS, it's been a great boom for them. The Amiibo, that's also will be as part of his legacy as well. And he's leaving the company in good hands on a high note. And I do want to make sure as well that that's noted to him as far as his success is concerned, because for a while they was getting kind of tenuous as far as what was going on.
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at his predecessor, you've got stuff like the Power Glove on his resume, the Virtual Boy, the Nintendo 64 disc drive. So I think you can point to blemishes on anyone's record.
And he started, and upon his passing, the company as well, with the NX coming out, in the near future, and also their willingness to become more part of a bigger part of the mobile community
and the online community.
Yeah, with the DENA, as far as it's concerned, their affiliation with them and where they're going from there. So I see him leaving, but I see, as far as it's concerned, him leaving the company on a better path towards the future.
Definitely seems like the legacy is set in stone for the foreseeable future. At least probably 2 to 3 years, the plans will have to kind of remain where they are. So they'll carry that spirit forward.
I'm sure everything was at least, like you said, at least 2 or 3 years, everything seemed to be in place as far as it's concerned. I know the E3 was kind of a little bump in the road, depending on who you ask, as far as from a Wii U standpoint.
It was fantastic, and I'll argue this to the death. The problem with E3, if I can digress a minute, gentlemen.
But the handheld part, I will say the handheld...
It's that they split all their information across multiple days. If they would have taken everything with Smash Brothers, everything with Nintendo World Championships, and put it all as part of that Tuesday morning
they encompassed
presentation.
Everything.
Yes.
And there you
go. Then it would have been like, man, that would have been like an hour and a half nonstop. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Epicness.
Instead, they breadcrumbed it out a bit.
Absolutely. No, I'm just, our thoughts are with Nintendo and obviously his family as well. Going forward, like you said, Nintendo's still in good hands, and I see at least a good direction for them going forward. Chris, any last thoughts?
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
There you go. Absolutely.
That's the biggest thing.
There was another little thing going on this weekend. It was called the second best party in the West Coast. Because this is the first party right here, the best
This is
party
the best
in town.
party.
Retro City Games Game Night. If you are here in the Las Vegas area, it is still going on. Game Night
Henderson,
here.
Nevada.
Henderson, Nevada. That's
So if you're in
Retro
California,
City
you can get here in about 5 hours.
True story.
Games. You might miss it, but it is Retro City Games right here in Henderson, Nevada. The second best party going on was something called Comic-Con.
Oh yeah, I heard something about this. This little gathering that happens every now and then.
Absolutely.
These noobs, they don't know Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a thing now?
Yeah, it's a thing.
Oh,
It's a thing. But
Apparently, it's been a thing forever. I mean, don't you know about comics and
It sounds made up.
comics?
Oh, there's comics at this
Yeah,
event.
there's yeah.
Is
They're-
there?
They're in the corner somewhere
Yeah,
sometimes, you know.
It sounds like more branding than anything else.
I saw a lot of pictures of the floor this weekend, and yeah, comics were like, as you said, like tucked way on the side.
Well, as a guy who went to Comic-Con 2 years ago, I can tell you that they are there. They're just kind of literally fit between the cracks of all these big corporate entity booths that are there and that are, you know, decked out with amazing design work.
And also vendors selling as far as the merchandise.
Well, essentially that's what's going on. You'll have like Diamond Direct and stuff, which is obviously a big name, or DC Comics or Marvel, the comic side, or IDW and stuff. But then you'll have like the local, you know, San Diego shops kind of having a presence.
Almost
there.
like a little swap meet type thing. They kind
Yeah.
of want to show what they have to offer to either
And
their world or
I will say they do have a lot of old rare books that are like, you know, all graded, and it's pretty cool just to see that sense of history. But the comic presence is definitely being downplayed for, you know, it should be really the San Diego pop culture festival. That's what it is.
It looked like it was an awesome time to have.
Well, that's the
have
thing.
this
It looks
weekend.
amazing.
It
I'm
is.
glad that it's encompassed everything. Maybe at, you know, the dismay of what it started as. But
And I know
But they couldn't have grown if it wasn't for all this other entertainment
That's true.
industry. It has to encompass what do comics kind of relate to. They relate to video games. They relate to movies. They relate to this and that.
Sure.
So to encompass all that and then expand a little bit more makes sense.
E3, for example, you know, that over the years has been criticized for getting too big, getting too
Same with
glitzy.
CES.
Yes, same with
Yeah.
CES. Over 175,000 people actually go to CES
last
now.
year.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
it's quite a big spectacle indeed. But let's get back to Comic-Con.
Comic-Con.
What were some of the takeaways for you, Rob? I know when you posted on your Facebook page, you posted a couple little things that might have caught your eye. What exactly did catch Rob McCallum's eye?
There's two main things. The Star Wars panel was great, and I'll let you guys discuss that if that's something that's interesting.
Behind the scenes video at Doc.
Yeah, that was cool to see, but it didn't make like my top list. The Marvel stuff, like the X-Men or the Deadpool, didn't make my list. Again, I'm going to let you gentlemen talk about that if that's of interest to you.
It is. I bet it is to Chris.
Deadpool, is that of interest? Okay, he mum's the word "mork" without a mouth right now. What interests me were two things. The Mattel announcement of a new line of Masters of the Universe He-Man figures, specifically Filmation sculpts done by the Four Horsemen. So they look exactly like the classic cartoon. They also announced more characters going forward at a lower price point, continuing on the subscription that's been going on for about 8 years. Mattel had a lot of reshuffling in the higher up, so everybody thought the line was dead. Instead, they've come back with two smaller sublines where you can subscribe to that. And the big kicker for Mattel is they announced the license to Thundercats toys, which will fit in the same scale and the same sculpture style as the Masters of the Universe Classic. So you can have Lion-O right next to He-Man if you want, and Mumra right next to Skeletor. So
wow,
it's pretty cool.
I'm telling you. Brings back so many memories.
And of course, this comes on the heel with another video game announcement and reveal of Toy Soldiers War Chest, which announced Masters of the Universe as one of the playable armies. They revealed the other two armies that had been hidden since E3, which are Cobra and Assassin's Creed now. So I don't know if anybody out there is a huge Assassin's Creed fan.
I think they would be, yeah.
I think it's a little strange to have Assassin's Creed in that game, since those are all like 80s action figures.
Trying to mix that in, maybe reach to a different audience.
It's a Ubisoft game, so I understand the properties easily translate. The license fees probably a little bit lower to acquire that.
You would think.
Probably a little bit more affordable. But, you know, I'm going to wait and see how it is. It comes out August 11th, I believe. So I'm excited for that one. And the other big thing, if I could steal the spotlight for just 1 second.
Only one.
Just only one other thing that I care about.
Okay.
1 second. It's one word. Muppets.
There you go.
That's all I cared about. Seeing the Muppet panel, they stole the show with everything that I saw. I haven't watched the whole thing yet. I have it queued up as soon as I get home. They talked about the new show. They showed the pitch reel that won the show for the execs. They had all the performers there. They had the Muppets there. They were interacting. It was funny. It was above and beyond. And I guess Muppet related was the auction that they had there with an actual dark crystal puppet of Fizzgig, which is, for anybody that sort of knows it, is the dog-like fur ball with a face on it.
Well, I'll tell you this. Disney, for whatever people can say, has really actually gotten behind the Muppets over the past few years.
It's about time. Don't get me started.
Well, the movies themselves, the way they were sported, the way they actually ended up doing box office wise was okay.
Yeah.
Nothing great, nothing earth shattering, but they.
The first one did incredibly well for what it cost.
Yeah.
The second one, like most sequels, is about 60 to 75% of the first.
But they don't seem to have the expected ceiling that some of the others movies.
Of course not. Of course not.
But I appreciate them still continually trying to do it. And now they got the TV show coming this fall, so I'm very encouraged by that, to show it to new audiences, to younger audiences. I can't wait to to have my girls personally see it. So
in hindsight, they had to launch them in film because they had to make a big splash to say, hey, these characters are still around. Whether you probably sort of remember them from your parents or an uncle or something like that. They're still around, so here's 2 big movies with big Hollywood people, all packed in there, and songs and
the
stuff.
last movie especially was actually seeing Danny Trejo.
The last movie,
That was hilarious.
Muppets Most Wanted, is far better than The Superior. I'll go on record saying it is much more Muppet comedy, very dry, very subtle, in your face. Like, are they really making this allusion? Yes, they're alluding to that. And wait till you see the TV show, because I know I have high hopes for it.
As do I. So, Chris, what were your thoughts from Comic-Con?
I don't know how I follow up with all of the greatness.
It's just
So
the passion, I'm just saying. Like He-Man and Muppets, it's my childhood.
He-Man. I love that. Love that one animation. I would tell you, I love that one single run animation.
Where he stops like in the intersection of like Snake
that,
and he's
and
like,
that, and then he moves
left
on.
or right? I'll go this way. Every time he's picking right.
They reuse that. I absolutely love that. I have that imprinted in my brain for it.
What about this where he like passes the sword back and
Exactly.
forth? Yeah, that's a good one.
I have the power! Yeah, there you go. Anyways, Chris, so before we digress.
Mine was more comic book oriented, or not even comic, it's more comic movie oriented. I was more interested into like what they had to announce. Well, actually a couple different things. They had anime style stuff for Dragon Ball Z, and I watch a lot of anime, so to premiere the first episode of the show, or part of it.
Yeah, I heard that was pretty cool.
And unfortunately, I don't think it's been leaked or anything like that. But I mean, I was excited about that, and I wish I could have seen it. However, something that was leaked that I did get to see, and that most of the world saw, was the Suicide Squad being leaked. And unfortunately for DC, I'm sad that they, didn't get to keep that privatized to those viewers, to the one person who filmed it. But I admit that movie, I was more interested in just Batman vs Superman. But this whole DC universe that they're going in with their movies is really, I think it's going to beat out the comics.
Now
actually.
that seems to be the case because a lot of people from Comic-Con have more interest in other things outside of the Batman vs Superman trailer that was released. Could that be a problem? Could that be a little bit of
I did
foreshadowing?
I did watch that Dawn of Justice trailer like 15 times in a row. I admit that was a great trailer, and it's amazing that everyone could see it and everything. But I think maybe the leakedness, I guess, if you can say, of the Suicide Squad just kind of overshadowed it, or of almost anything else there, almost overshadowed it.
But is Ben Affleck compelling as Batman?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
And the news that he's going to direct and write the follow-up,
yes,
I think is really great. I mean, he's an excellent artist. Whether you're looking
everything
at his acting,
he's directed himself and then acted,
that's just it.
He did amazing.
And make fun of Good Will Hunting all you want, but he won an Academy Award for his
absolutely.
screenplay.
His resume is, Daredevil aside, and all the other stuff.
But he didn't write that either, or direct that. That's the thing.
But he does have an impressive
when
resume.
he's in control,
he takes
gets
control.
it done.
Yeah, and like I said, I just am wondering because the Batman vs Superman trailer was released and it didn't seem to get the notoriety of all the other things.
I disagree. That caught me by surprise. I'm like, oh my god, because I completely forgot. I had heard that Marvel wasn't showing, and for whatever reason, I just kind of blocked DC out. Not because I'm trying to erase them from my mind. I just thought, okay, there's not going to be spandex movies this year. It'll be other things. And then this was launched. I'm like, oh my god, I was excited to see it
for a 3.5-minute trailer, and then you get to see some reveals that they didn't tell you before.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert: if you haven't seen it, I recommend really going watching it. But Wonder Woman was shown in there. Joker,
Lex Luthor
with hair. I'm surprised, but
I'm sure at some point in time he.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. But nevertheless, they showed the characters that are going to be in there that they haven't really talked about.
Okay. You know what sells that trailer and what's going to sell that whole film? The sequence or the 3 or 4 shots of Bruce Wayne running into the cloud of smoke from the building destroyed, and him holding the girl looking up with vengeance in his eyes.
And then right next to it says Wayne Finances. So obviously something of his was destroyed. Something was killed of his.
Yeah, so it was Wayne Tower in Metropolis, and he was there during it all. So now he's got a personal connection to what's going on of this power unchecked.
Very good, very good.
What else? So you had anime, you had Suicide Squad, Batman, Superman.
I'd say those are my top 3. Everything
Deadpool
else,
didn't even jump in there.
Okay, so what the thing is with Deadpool...
So you get 4.
No. I didn't say Deadpool. I said the thing with Deadpool is it's Corey's thing. It's my other C's thing. It's my second C. Second Corey, I hope you watch this. Second C's thing. He is a Deadpool fanatic. If he could be Deadpool, he would trade his life for Deadpool any day.
He can every Halloween.
That's true.
Every day's Halloween, Deadpool, isn't it?
Or any day if you go to a convention and you want to cosplay, that works too. And that's the thing is I couldn't stop hearing him from work today about Deadpool.
So you're a little burnt out.
I'm like, yeah. So I'm like, when I hear Deadpool, I'm like, that's all I remember doing when Corey kept telling me. He's like, Deadpool this, Deadpool that. I'm like,
well, you were pretty excited about Deadpool. That's exactly what you taled about right off the cuff when we met up today.
Well, I thought it would be, because it just seems to have garnered a lot of interest online, a lot of interest in social media. The 2 things that stuck out to me was Star Wars The Force Awakens.
Oh, yeah,
obviously the panel that was there, and if you can catch that on YouTube as well, it's a little over an hour long. It's a great watch. Introduces the villains to the public as far as it's concerned. A nice little behind the scenes doc that was done about 5 minutes long.
Yeah, all the tail slates.
Yeah, it looks great. It looks awesome. I'm just so psyched for it. And you know, the bar is kind of set low after 1, 2, and 3. So there's nowhere to go but up for this upcoming flick. And the second thing that spoke out to me from Comic-Con was something about, I'm not a huge Firefly fan, but seeing the Project Conman, if you're familiar with that, with Nathan Fillion and one of the people, the ex-stars of Firefly. It's his show. He's running it. It's actually going to be on Vimeo. I'm not sure Vimeo. Cool. I know he got a crowdfunded.
It could be Vimeo. Vimeo's getting really big into the subscription space. And kind of,
it's about $15 for a season. He's got his first season done already. I know he got some of his Firefly stars in there. Nathan Fillion actually does play some character similar to what he is in real life, a star that from a successful series, playing in another successful series, and his buddy's trying to get him to
so
do all
meta.
this project.
It's
meta. Exactly. and they mock a lot of the stuff that goes on to the conventions that they've been to, and there's a lot of Firefly stars that are introduced.
It's a little bit like Galaxy Quest in that tone, then.
As far as the parts where it was on Earth. That part. Yeah, if you can imagine that.
Yeah, so it's like they're doing the convention thing.
Exactly.
Their show's come and gone.
And season 2, I know he's going to try and get even more stars from the old series Firefly. So if you are really into Firefly,
I know exactly what you're talking about. I saw the billboard.
It's
Alan.
Oh, I gotta forget his last name.
It's the con men because convention men wouldn't be cool.
Yes, that's correct. Yes, so you get a chance to check out the trailer. It looks very funny. It looks very promising, and if you can, give them some support as well, give them some love, and if you're a big Firefly fan, there you go.
It's all good. It's a Sunday. We're usually on our game on a Saturday, so
exactly.
We're all there. If I can talk about it just for one more moment, I think Suicide Squad and Deadpool, I think it was a sigh of relief for comic book fans. It was like, okay, this can work. I think that's the excitement for those. It's not because you look at like X-Men Origins Wolverine.
I know there's some trepidation regarding Suicide Squad.
Yeah, I think people are just like, okay, this can work. I'm interested in that.
Who's involved? Who's starring in it? I know there's talk of egos and things of that nature, but they've been trying to do a great job of supporting it. They've released a lot of pictures, which I wouldn't have thought, as opposed to some other superhero projects where it's under tight wraps and things of that nature. No, they've been showing off pictures of Jared Leto and Will Smith and obviously,
Margot Robbie,
exactly. and they've been doing a great job of trying to get that word out. In fact, some of the stars were actually at Comic-Con to greet the fans, so I give them a lot of kudos for that, and I look forward to seeing Suicide Squad. I wasn't at one time, but now actually I am.
I'm in the same boat. I was like, no, it's there. I'll watch it. Maybe Redbox it. Now I'm like, I'm seeing this day one. It seems that much more interesting.
Day one.
So actually, our next topic on that, because we are moving away from the Comic-Con.
So I shouldn't mention the cool IDW Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossover.
Why not? Go ahead.
No, I just did.
There you go.
That's all he had to say.
Fair
I
enough.
mentioned it.
I thought we should talk about something very comic related at least.
Well, absolutely. And speaking of, superheroes and whatnot, Rob and I actually recently got a chance to read from our good friend Josh Peterson, who's written in the past for Game Source. I actually wrote a great review on a reviews page for Batman Arkham Knight. So he did a great job there. And he's written a novel, Vendetta Dark. And if you're actually, Chris, you could probably do it in like 3D. There you go. Whoa. It is available, I want to first off say it's available on Amazon. If you have a Kindle, it's available through that too. If you have Barnes & Noble, you like them? Hey, you can get it there too as well. For the Nook, well, you like that little going down digital, take care of that as well. And also as well, it's available on Goodreads.com and BooksOnline.com. It's at a cheap price. I personally, I thought there were some great moments in it. Actually, there were some parts that maybe were kind of not tied together as much as I like. But I tell you, the overall, it was a good page turner for me. And I will say this, I look forward to seeing where this is going from there. It was a great superhero story from that aspect as far as where the potential leads for me. And once I put it down, I was hoping for more in this line of stories.
It's great that we came off Batman and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and the fact that he wrote a Batman review going into Vendetta Dark, because it feels like it takes place in very much a Batman.
There is a heavy influence in it.
It takes place, it's a story of this MacGuffin material that gets out there, and it's basically everybody chasing it around, trying to see who has it, what's it doing, what are the properties, and who can get away with what before actually having to answer to anybody.
Yes.
So there's a huge political undertone where I think 6, 7, maybe 8 characters are involved, which I would say is one of the things that was not hard for me to juggle, because it's quite clear who's doing what and what they're going after.
So there's not a whole bunch of variety of characters that you have to get invested
You understand who is who, but I couldn't get invested in any one character, because in a book that's 250-ish pages, to follow 8 characters through that amount, I never felt really close to any of them. I felt more kind of caught up in where people are in the plot.
But maybe that's where he's alluding to as far as it's concerned for future stories, future iterations, to evolve those characters.
On that level, this kind of reminds me of Empire Strikes Back, where there's a whole series of books that take place from that bounty hunter meetup, where all the bounty hunters, all those books end up back in front of Darth Vader as they're getting contracted to find the Millennium Falcon. So maybe if this is a jumping off book and we get to revisit things, then sure, that can work kind of in a hindsight brand web building and stuff. One thing that did pull me out, and there's a lot of good positive stuff in here, but I feel like I got to help our buddy Josh and kind of throw some things out there that really stuck with me. It's set in a city called Avarice. Obviously, this is a term that kind of really describes the city, but I never really knew if this was in our world or if this was in a different world, because it wasn't an existing city that's on the map of the USA. And then when he would call out references to the real world, like he references Joker at one point, he references NASA, and there's a few other real world things. There was a disconnect. I would say, honestly, just set it in New York, or set it in Chicago, or set it in somewhere. Make me believe that this is happening, that this could happen somewhere. I thought the writing style was great. It actually really reminded me of a Dan Brown book who wrote the Da Vinci Code in a Batman style. Like if Batman was written by Dan Brown, it's this intricate, heavy, wordy, in a good way, over-descriptive thought process of all these characters pulled into this seedy noir undertone of a city that can't get out from its own despair. You know what I mean? So, kudos, Josh, for that, if you're watching. That's what got me hooked. But the characters, so many characters trying to survive in this was what made me feel suffocated to get through all the way to the story.
And that's for me. That's where I was reading, and I was thinking that they're going to be evolved in future iterations. That's maybe I was giving
That's
a little
totally
bit more
fair.
and maybe I was giving a little bit more benefit of doubt. But yes, I can understand why you were saying that. For me, I was giving it that benefit of doubt that I think those characters are going to be evolved in future iterations, so people will get invested over time in all those characters eventually, and they'll be able to branch out from there.
Sure. You know, I am notoriously a guy that is very hard on stuff. I'm very hard on my own movies. I'm very hard on anything that comes out.
You made a movie?
I've made a couple, yeah. I'm very hard on them. We're all notorious of being critical, especially in the internet age now, so it's easy to poke at stuff. But when I do it, I always try to think, what would I do differently, or what can I take about this stuff? So there's a lot of cool things. I would have loved to seen a story like a three-hander. Deal with Carmichael, deal with Tobias's father, and deal with maybe Tobias's mother. Just keep it those three. And keep Tobias, who actually has a major section on the back of the book as far as the synopsis, whom you really don't get to meet until page 40. Keep him out of it. Keep him like the MacGuffin, that when he finally opens his eyes, it's like the last thing of the book. He opens his eyes, you know what the description is in the book, and that be the cliffhanger. Like, now what's going to happen?
Exactly.
Now I want to see the next volume.
I can understand that.
There's so much to play with. There's so many ingredients. I feel like it's just jumping around too quickly to keep the things moving when the sandbox is full of, great marbles and pearls and diamonds that need to be exposed.
And I believe that this, if this is his first novel, maybe he was given limitations.
Sure, yeah.
Maybe, when somebody was editing it, as far as it's concerned, maybe they tighten it up. Maybe they tighten up too much. Sometimes that's beyond the author's control.
Yeah, there's so many things that we as readers will never understand what happens here. Just like when we watch a movie, we don't understand the constraints that why this scene turned out like that, or what happened with this rewrite, or you just never know.
Remember that time with Jay?
Yeah. So, you guys can probably tell that I'm excited by a lot of the ingredients in the book. And if the book was horrible, I wouldn't be this invested in it. It's far from that. There's a lot of great stuff happening.
I think it has a lot of great potential personally.
Well, that's just it. This is a great jumping off point that if this was like, okay, here's like the map, the lay of the land. What are all these other stories that can further develop and constantly call back to Vendetta Dark as the nucleus of this larger web in the city of Avarice, or if it was called something else, or maybe it's just referred to as Avarice because that's what, New York or Chicago is transformed into, or whatever,
But no, actually, like I said, I appreciate your thoughts on it.
Sure.
If you get a chance, everyone out there, it's Vendetta Dark. It is now available, like I said, on Amazon, via the Kindle as well, Barnes & Noble. If you got a Nook, hey, you can download it there too at a very, very inexpensive price.
It is a page turner. You can go through it really quickly.
And that's what I really liked about it. It's a really good page turner.
It's a nice pulp fiction noir classic. And again, Dan Brown, Mickey Spillane, that kind of turner.
Well, give it a chance, everyone out there. Decide for yourself. It's Vendetta Dark by our own Josh Peterson. We want to thank him for actually allowing us to have a copy to read through, and right there's another. I think we've got a future reader.
You got to get your wallet out for this now.
Chris,
I'm almost out of 20s.
So you do have some.
What? No.
Chris is starting right now. Chris is not going to be on the podcast. He's just going to be sitting
He's
here
just going to be off to the side, just reading here. No way.
But once again, look for it. It is Vendetta Dark, available right now. Go and get it from our own friend.
I'm actually
Josh
really
Peterson.
impressed. I don't know, did Josh do this design too? It looks...
I will
like
have to ask him.
That dark grittiness, I'm like... It catches me.
It feels like it's ripped out of Gotham, right?
Well, no, because this doesn't look like Gotham in the back.
But the vibe that it gives off, I think, is very Batman-like. I think so. Read the first page and tell me that you don't...
Vendetta Dark, a novel. Josh
See?
Peterson.
Told you.
Oh, you're
Sold.
right. It's yeah.
Sold right there. No, go ahead. Your turn.
No. What? To read it? I just read the first page, and it does.
You're
feel
gonna
like
read the rest
Batman.
of the pages.
But I'm
sorry about the corners. I turned the corners down, so I know.
Oh, so you know.
I don't do a bookmark thing.
Fair enough.
That's me. What's next?
What's next? It's you.
Me?
Yes.
What do we got here?
Actually, what you did, like I said, it's always great to have Rob here. He brings a certain perspective that only he can.
Now you're being polite. He brings a certain perspective.
Well, it's because obviously you've directed the outstanding Nintendo Quest, which we have reviewed on our site, yourgamesource.com.
There's a couple outstanding reviews from you guys out there.
Yes, and also as well, how many more reviews have been out there for you?
There's only 3 in total. We've actually had a lot of people request reviews. We've pushed people back because we want our Kickstarter backers to get their copies first. We want to let people on the Power Tour see it without too much information going out there.
And I really appreciate you clarifying that, because I know there's always some issues when it concerns Kickstarter and GoFundMe's and things of that nature, and crowdsourcing. When does the actual individuals that are actually contributing, when do they get their products?
It's coming. I am literally just waiting for the product to ship to me. Jay and I had to sign the cover, so everybody that... And Beckett, you're blocking your camera.
Oh, I'm so
Cameo!
sorry. I was like looking for a camera the whole time I'm walking around here.
Surprise! That's the wonder of the surface.
This is live. This is live. This is unscripted. You couldn't write that.
Water cooler talk, literally.
Yeah, this is water cooler worthy.
We're just talking around the water cooler here, but as
so we had to sign all our covers, and we didn't want to ship stuff that wasn't, shrink wrapped. So we had to sign them and then send those back so they could shrink wrap them. Now people have to choose between unwrapping them.
I'm just imagining you signing them and end up coming. They're like half smudged. It says like "Ro Macau."
Oh, if you can read any letters in that, that's a whole another super ability in yourself.
It'll say A.
Or a boot.
Yeah.
A good film, a boot, stuff, eh?
But, it's almost, Nintendo Quest to me is almost like almost like an oxymoron, because it's actually a great film.
It's actually a great film.
It's actually, no one really thought it would be, but,
It actually...
With a video game theme, tie-in, story, what have you.
A heavy video game premise, at least from the trailers.
Which...
kind of like Pixels.
And I know all of you out there that are either watching or listening have, numerous times tried to sit down and watch another movie or TV program or something with a video game premise. Mm-hmm. And we're going to touch on movies with a video game premise.
Sure.
And for many, many, many years, there's been numerous failures by the movie industry to actually create a formula to make video games or the video game premise appear successful on the screen.
And I gotta tell you, we already talked about Comic-Con, and we're not talking about Comic-Con anymore, but Warcraft showed footage.
Warcraft showed footage as well. There's a trailer out there for it.
And people are mixed on it yet again, a video game property.
And then there's also a new Hitman coming up, and there's Pixels, which, everybody seems to have hope for, but it's always it's guarded because of who is actually involved. With Adam Sandler, his recent history has been somewhat lackluster at best.
Sure.
So it's a great concern to me, and as I want to delve into it a little bit more, your thoughts on why the continuous failures or attempts from the movie industry to not create a great movie?
Well, I think there's 2 camps. You have documentaries that delve into video game subjects or video game related fare.
But you and I went back and forth on
several hundred comments. So that's the first thing. The second thing are like narrative stories that are purporting to tell the story of Double Dragon or Street Fighter.
Don't you even start telling me. I was a part of the Double Dragon, and unfortunately it's my only listed credit, and it's not the one you want to have.
The problem with those films that try to create a story, even the Resident Evils, with as many as that we've received, blessed to us, is that it's a different experience. It's a passive viewing experience when you're sitting in a theater watching stuff. A video game experience is an active viewing relationship, where even in the cinema-laden era of video games that we are now, where we feel like we're watching a movie, at some point we are given control to be that character, and there's more of a stronger identification. So when you strip that away, the one thing that people love most about video games, and you tell them, no, this is what you've got to do, suddenly you have an audience of probably gamers that are saying, well, I wouldn't make that decision. Well, this isn't the game that I know that I play. This looks different.
But there have been several, dozens of games that tell an outstanding story, which, if you really think about it, could be translated into something that's great for the cinema. Could.
It all sounds great on paper.
But that's the thing is, who wants to play the game for 30 hours and then sit down and watch it in 2 hours and be like, well, I could have just played the game instead and had more fun.
But take like an Uncharted. Take like a Mass Effect. You could create that environment, as far as it's concerned, within the span of a 2.5 hour movie that will capture...
So you're saying repeat it or do a different story?
Do something within that concept. You can actually abridge that.
You could do anything.
Yeah.
I think you're using a pretty powerful word there, Gerald. Could.
I mean, that's
You could make a great Mario film as a CG animated.
Where's this disconnect? Where's this?
We can make
Where's
it live
it going
action,
wrong?
and that's even funnier.
Where is it going wrong is Hollywood, and not being satisfied with these well-known, recognized IPs or intellectual properties or these known characters.
And what made them great?
Now they have to cast well-known names to get somebody to be that character. Now they have to do it within a budget. Now they have to release it a certain way and have it look a certain way. Do they try to make it look like the other stuff? Do they try to make it look different? How can they win? They'll never be able to please people, and that's the problem. Gamers are a highly picky bunch, as you guys well know. So trying to translate something is only going to come off as a parody.
Because, like the most successful consoles, a console doesn't truly achieve that level of success until it reaches a mass audience.
There's a tipping point.
Same thing with movies. It doesn't really become a successful movie until it reaches a larger audience.
Well, it depends on what you mean by success. It really does. Because you could spend $5 million on a movie and it make 80 million, and it's a massive success relative to what went into it.
Something that we were talking about the other day, when we brought it up in chat, when I brought it up in chat as far as it's concerned, just going back in your memory and seeing the legacy and thinking of the legacy of films, you cannot think of very many. Wreck-It Ralph, it was like almost on one hand the number of films, non-documentary or even documentary, because you and I went to bat against a couple of different documentaries. Sure. The only one Universal seemed to be outside of yours, King of Kong.
Outside of mine.
Outside of yours, King of Kong.
Which is very flattering that people actually are mentioning within the same breath.
It should be, because they're both very well done. Yeah, you and I went back and forth a little bit on Atari Game Over, but still going back to that, it just does not seem to be. These like you said, there's a disconnect where it's going wrong as far as being able to portray these video game stories on the screen, or even abridge them to make them more appealing to a wider audience. Chris, what are your thoughts? When was the last time you saw a great video game film that wasn't named Nintendo Quest?
Now, are we going by great?
You saved him there.
Are we going?
What's the most memorable video game movie you can think of right now?
I mean, the ones that I enjoyed.
Nintendo Quest is the answer.
But no, he said not Nintendo Quest. So we can't say Nintendo Quest.
All right, we can't say Nintendo Quest.
Okay, so Nintendo Quest is the best.
Tug it.
Yeah, tug anywhere you're at.
NintendoQuest.com.
I don't know, because games that I liked.
You're not answering the question.
Pick one that stands out right away.
That's the
But
problem.
you guys are going to bash me for it.
No,
That's the thing.
I just want to see if you can come up with one.
I like Silent Hill.
Okay, great. That was another one that picked a lot of people. That a lot of people said, this is worthy because it's a low budget. It's an indie film.
Yeah.
Indie film relative
Dead
to
Rising is an indie film.
Wreck-It Ralph, which had a $200 million budget, I would say.
And probably after all said and done, broke even, maybe a little bit of profit.
Enough to spawn sequels.
Yes, and it actually did very well. I enjoyed it. Thought it was a well-made film. But that number does not seem to be there. And they're still, I give the Hollywood movie industry credit because they're still trying. Assassin's Creed, you've got Uncharted being written again. And then as far as the numerous number of Warcraft that we talked about.
I honestly think it's one thing, and this is going to sound like a fad or like a trend, but I think the medium of a movie, the format, it's the whole monster that is a Hollywood release at least, is wrong for video games. A video game is something you spend time with. And I think something like an HBO, a higher tier cable network like Starz or AMC would suit a video game property much better, because then you can spend more time with the characters, which, let's face it, video game properties allow you to really get to know characters well over a long period of time and have them evolve.
I think one said it best as far as one of the early releases this year, The Order 1886. Actually, our reviewer, Sam, she noted that it would have been better as a movie than actually as a video game, because the way, first of all, it was very short for a video game, but also as well the way it was cinematically done, the story put behind it, seemed more apt to be in for.
But do you
for different
remember?
media.
Remember, I think it was 6 months ago, maybe a little bit longer, when it was rumored that there was going to be a Zelda Game of Thrones like show on Netflix, and everybody somehow got behind that. There wasn't too many people that were concerned. They're like, "Oh my God, that is such a great property to do it in this style and to have it for free out there for people to watch." Again, because people know what Game of Thrones is. They like that format of this long story in this world that they can wrap their heads around. So I think maybe 6 to 8 to 10 to 13 episode run is maybe what that works. I mean, and again, going back to Comic-Con, another big trailer was released for a TV property, Ash versus the Evil Dead. And why is that not Evil Dead 4, and why is that a TV series instead? Because the Evil Dead movies don't do well at the box office. There's a huge cult following, but nobody goes to see it in the theater to support it, so put it on television. Get to know Ash's character a little bit longer. And who doesn't want to see 13 episodes of Bruce Campbell hamming it up?
Yeah.
You gotta love the chin.
He's quite funny.
It's a perfect fit.
If you've seen that that new trailer, it is quite funny and quite amusing if you can catch it on YouTube.
It's good. I highly thumbs up on that. Yeah. So that's what I think. I think that the medium is wrong, and there's enough mistakes that people should have seen that by now. And maybe it took for a while to get television up to where it needs to be for people to get that. Hey, we're live. How's it going? Sorry, the camera's right there. We're just chatting here.
So you're live.
We're live.
Yes, we are live. Live here.
Walk away from me.
No worries. No, you're cool. You're cool. Because we're here live at Retro City Games in Henderson, Nevada. Woo!
Yeah.
Doug and Nicole, gotta get you on here. Come on over here.
I think we caught you on that. Maybe.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, we're live.
Yeah,
we're live.
Yeah, we are. Absolutely.
So that's what I think. I think the medium is wrong, and I think people have been lured in as producers that, this property works, so let's try to make something of it.
So there's several projects down the way. What type of advice do you give those movie companies? If you could, let's say Rob, you were running your own studio.
Sure. I would say do what you got now to make a marketing impact and use it as a loss leader and have it spawn into something different again. It's the Muppets formula, right? Put out 2 movies that seem to catch a fan base going on and then give them more content. We're living in the age of immediacy where people want. They don't want to wait 15 years.
You can't put out a movie every 6 months.
No, but you can shoot a TV show like once every 2 weeks for an hour long.
Yes. Absolutely. It remains to be seen. I'm very hopeful.
For Double Dragon, the series.
Oh, no, please. I just remember working on that project, and it was just truly, you could actually just see, we were talking in the studio at the time, but we were actually doing the special effects for it.
Sure.
How bad, because how much money was
so
being
you
put.
knew it at that point.
Because you could tell with a project that was like Species that I did, how much money they were putting into the actual special effects and what they wanted. And then what something like Double Dragon was doing, what they wanted, and what the kind of money that they were actually going to give us to do it. You could see the difference between the two, and you could ultimately tell what was going to happen with that. And I'm sure Alyssa Milano, if you're out there, I know you're probably just shaking your head. Again, whenever you hear that mention, that Scott Foley,
Scott Wolf,
and Robert Patrick. Yep. When he'd like to forget as well. So, but
everybody but Gerald would like to forget.
Unfortunately, I forget.
I think it's cool.
Yeah, well, my mom reminds me. Hey, I remember. I still got. Well, see that. When does it come out? When is it going to be shown again? I've got it on video somewhere.
We should do a Game Source convention where we definitely have to show that every year as like the midnight kind of.
That's your Throwback Thursday. We're gonna start it Thursday and we're gonna watch it.
I'd rather you watch Outbreak. Something else I worked on with that was a little bit higher quality. Like I said, Species.
No.
In the Outfield. No, it's got to be that.
I'll give you Christopher Lloyd points for Angels in the Outfield, but it's got to be Double Dragon.
That's harsh. That's really harsh. And then at the end, you'll see my name popping up there. I'm just like,
and we'll freeze it at that point. Pause it.
There you go. Exactly.
And we'll do like picture-in-picture of you like watching. Like, hey, that's me.
That's me. Probably throwing up right there. Exactly.
All good. So that's what I think. Movies and games.
Well, as far as for the future, there's some good projects. Again, like I said, I'm just hopeful. I'm not overly optimistic. I'm going to be honest with you. For Pixels, Assassin's Creed,
Pixels will be okay. It'll do well domestically and internationally. It'll spawn a sequel. Get ready for it. There's too many video game properties to exploit and get people excited about.
How much? What's the budget on that? I haven't looked on Box Office Mojo.
It's probably like 80 to 100 million, I would imagine. That sounds like an Adam Sandler range.
It's a sound. Okay, all right. Well,
it's based off a short film. You know that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Just to see it in action and his track record lately is.
Well, it's like Ghostbusters meets video games, is what it is.
This is the 1990s. I would have a lot more faith.
Right after The Wedding Singer, it would have made more sense to release.
Absolutely, absolutely, indeed. And lastly, we're talking again. This is the Game Source Podcast 127. He's texting. He's following social
I'm
media.
actually double checking on that 80 to 100,000 on that.
80 to 100 million.
80
million, I meant, yeah.
Okay, so while he's checking that, and also how you can get Vendetta Dark on Amazon, right?
Yeah.
there.
He's securing his copy today, unless he wants to pay
Buying
double
it on
for this
Amazon
one.
right
And then
now.
he's actually going to also as well right after that to Patreon to give support to Rob.
Yeah, Patreon.com/GamerCast. You can sub right there.
Yeah, my money's already down.
Well, I'm going to let you have the 20 back so you can sub online.
Oh, okay.
Because I know you're short on 20s.
Yes.
But you're good for it, as
Okay.
it's live and it's archived.
Yes. Yes.
And this was something I could hopefully get
Still
Doug
keep this right here.
and
People don't have
Nicole
money.
to talk about as well. But you were at several different stores filming a Nintendo Quest. In the age of GameStop, in the age of retail dominance as far as from large big box outlets, in the age of purchasing online and downloads, digital downloads, where does the mom and pop stores, where does the smaller stores, where does the David in the David and Goliath battle as far as for your video game dollar?
It was 110 million for Pixels.
110 million.
Without marketing spend.
Yeah, without marketing, yes.
So it's probably 220, usually double it.
Yeah.
Where does David sit in the David and Goliath
Yes.
battle from mom and pop to corporate giant?
How can they survive? How can they thrive in this environment?
I don't know if I can answer how can they thrive or survive in the environment, but there's a place for them, and that's a place out of necessity.
But you were in several different states, seeing several different stores.
These stores are a necessity. We need them. And I'm not just speaking as like a gamer. I'm speaking as... Once you've been in a GameStop, you've been in every single GameStop.
That's true.
They're homogenized. Every experience is the same.
What's a GameStop?
But their recent announcement of carrying older...
It's not about the product. It's not about what's on shelves.
Does that concern?
No.
Should that be of any concern to consumers at all?
No, it shouldn't be a concern at all. It really shouldn't. I mean, Amazon is opening up brick and mortar stores now. Why? Because they want to provide an experience. Microsoft now has their own stores after Apple had stores. Why? Because it's an experience to visit these locations.
Sony had a lot of stores and they decided to cut
They
back.
did. These mom and pop stores provide an experience and a community get together. This place is different from the game shop across town, for example.
There he is right there.
What you get here, you can't get elsewhere. That is what is important about these stores. And I can't underestimate it. Like, you need to go out there. You need to visit these stores. That was the best part about Nintendo Quest. Going to see all these different stores, connecting with all these different communities. It was great.
And we've got Doug right here from Retro City Games.
Doug, have a seat. We're talking about game stores. Gerald posited, how do game stores, mom and pop, indie game stores, exist in this corporate landscape that we have with Amazon and GameStop?
Not only survive, but thrive as well.
And I said that they have to exist out of necessity because you guys provide, for example, an experience that you don't get at GameStop. Every GameStop you go to is the same. You know exactly what it's going to be like before you walk through the door.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. You come here, it's different. You never know.
I hope so.
At Retro City, you never know what you'll find.
See, you go to a GameStop and someone's in and out within like 10 minutes. You get people here that have been here all night
And
because
those-
they enjoy this stay, they enjoy the company.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's part of the monotony of like the corporate upsell. I mean, you walk
Sure.
in, you're either really into it and you just, oh, this is an experience, you like that experience, or you walk in and you're just like no to the 10,000 questions you're going to get asked because you don't really care. And I think that's where something like this is a little bit different, where we're not fitting into a structure or a mold. We're just kind of here.
I kind of said point blank, it's not about what's on the shelf. It's great that there's cool stuff on the shelf, But that's very secondary or tertiary to the experience you get when you walk in a store like this.
I mean, something like tonight has nothing to do with our merchandise.
Yeah,
I mean,
the store is closed.
Except the fact that there's, I guess it's a game store. We're playing games, but
Yes.
Yeah.
nobody's. I mean, we're not here to really like. I mean, we do sell, but we're not here to like sell stuff and like, oh, go crazy. No, we're here to just hang out and have fun
And talk to people and connect. And once GameStop closes, they're closed. You have to wait till the next day. You're
I
not
thought you
going to
meant
have
for
cool
good.
events.
I mean, was that just wishful thinking?
Wishful thinking a little bit. But I think with their existence, it helps define the strength of your store too.
Agreed. And I mean, it's not anything against the corporate.
Oh,
side
it's
of it.
it's what they want.
Because I remember like Funkoland was an amazing way of that franchised corporate mentality, but still being unique and personal in the community. But yeah, GameStop.
Do you feel GameStop has homogenized it too much?
Of course, yeah. I mean, it's they've made it just a cookie cutter retailer, and that's why they're doing terrible right now.
Now, again, a plug for Nintendo Quest, and I didn't really think about it until the Vegas screening with Doug, and I came right up to you after, and I said, Doug, wasn't it cool to see all those different retail spaces, whether you liked them or didn't like how they set up things? It was cool to see so many different stores that were laid out differently.
And it was funny because, I mean, as like not only as a fan, but as like an owner,
Sure.
I was picking them apart.
Sure.
Like, I was like, yeah, just tons of things I loved, tons of things I hated, but yeah, everybody was
But
doing,
to see that,
yeah,
like,
it was crazy.
like that spread.
But just that they're there,
But
they're
that's what
alive,
makes it
and they're-
interesting. I mean, people walk in here all the time, and I don't think it's because our layout's poor or anything. It's just somebody walks in and goes, so where is this or that? And they have to actually seek and find things, which, I mean, everybody loves a treasure hunt. I mean, seriously, I mean...
But now they're interacting too, and that's where I would say the hook is, because now they can get to know who you are, and you can talk to them, and you can know who they are.
Well, I hope so. I mean, I hope that means something to, as much to them as it means to us. I mean, we love it. I mean, that's most of the fun is just the people. I mean, the games are the games. I could not have a store and play games, but
Sure.
I mean, it's all about the interaction. It's all about building this community and just having fun. Yeah.
And where can they go for that?
Retro City Games.
What's the site? Give us a Facebook address.
Got a plug. This
is
you
the
know
big.
our
This is
show.
the plug section. He
No,
made me
I
go
know.
on for 45 minutes at the
If
beginning,
you are-
plugging
if
all
you
my
are-
stuff.
And that's one thing. Anybody out there that wants to be a part of the show, if you got something to plug within the gaming community, you can plug it on our show. We just really appreciate you being part of the program.
Yeah, no, I'm not the biggest on that. I mean, if you want to check us out,
You guys are on Facebook, right?
well, yeah, exactly. We're on Facebook. It's Retro City Games NV.
NV as in Nevada. Retro City Games NV
Not
on
Nevada.
Facebook. No, I
Rob.
said Nevada.
I know, but I
I've been very conscious about it.
You should be.
About it?
Yeah.
Listen here, cameraman. Take that 20 back out. Just kidding.
I thought I saw money. I was
Yeah,
like,
you
what's
saw
happening?
that. Yeah. We'll
Are we
play
playing
some
like
bets.
poker over here?
Yeah,
Like-
we got prop bets going on the side.
That's what we gotta have. We
But
gotta
yeah,
have
no,
a
you can
poker
check us out on
podcast.
Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter at
It's all Retro City
Games
Games
NV. We're on the corner of Sunset and Valley Verde in
Yeah.
Henderson, Nevada. Yeah.
You got lots of great video content too on your Facebook page for people to look
say
at.
great.
No, it's pretty fantastic.
But they can also, if someone's not in the Las Vegas area, they can still contact you via the Facebook page.
Of course,
If they have any
all the time we get
questions.
that. I mean, we have tons of people that are out of state just checking in, see what we have new, just talking to us, that kind of thing. I mean, right now we're going to do two. Wow, I can't speak today. We're going to Game On Expo end of August
In
and
Arizona,
We
yeah.
already have guys that are going, hey, if you get anything, bring it on down to me and stuff like that. So, I mean, yeah, we love that kind of stuff. And like we said, it's all about the community, and we want to just grow the community, not only here in Henderson and Vegas, but across the country. I mean, I don't think there's really a unified movement yet. I mean, a lot of places
It's
have
getting
tried,
there. Right now, there's a lot of satellite pockets that are starting to connect.
but it's all built around so much either fandom or drama, and that's why I think a store needs to step up and say, "All right."
Well,
we're
that's
just
what
going to
that's
build
what we
that."
discovered
Yeah.
on Nintendo Quest, that there was these pockets of people
I get you.
that knew what the stores were involved in that were rallying around it. Which is why when I met you guys, it was just like, "This is in Vegas. I love this. This is here."
And I also want to say, as far as for small gaming sites and things of that nature, they also seem to be very guarded. They also seem to want to also defend their space a lot, and they don't want to try to work things together. It becomes,
It's a fear thing. Once you get over that and open the doors,
we try to. We try to at YourGameSource.com. Like I said, we will help you build a community, and we're here to work with Nintendo Quest, with Rob, with you and Retro City Games.
And we love the same thing, and that's why when Rob pushed with Nintendo Quest, it was like a no-brainer. I mean, why not support part of that community?
And I know the guys from Seek, Find, Play. They're here all the time for you.
Sure.
As far as it's concerned,
One
you
of the
want to give
guys,
them a plug.
George from Seek, Find, Play.
There you go.
If you haven't checked out their YouTube channel, you should.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I guess more what I meant by before was more of like like you said, you have the big name websites, which I guess I won't name, and then you have
Sure.
the YouTube type stuff and the personalities, and it's all, like you said,
Just
guarded.
drama in high school,
so
and it's
guarded.
like you're either on our side or you're not on our side. Like you've got to stake
And
your
everybody's
territory.
trying to defend what they're doing instead of just going, "Hey, we're all gamers, we're all part of this community. Let's just get together."
Because that's too simple.
Do stuff, right?
People have too much time and they want to complicate it because the keyboard is in front of them.
The problem is you can't monetize that.
Yeah.
You can't monetize a
Conflict. You can't. Yeah. Well.
And we've run into
You
that
can.
issue, and I won't name any names, but we've run into that same issue on
Ooh,
a personal level.
scandalous.
Oh yeah, that same
Do
thing.
tell.
Where I mean, it's just, how do I say this? I'm gonna articulate this without throwing anybody under the bus.
We're picking our words carefully now.
Yes, very carefully. There are other entities and establishments within the metropolitan Vegas area that we've done events with and didn't continue because it was more about the money and the business than it was about promoting the community. And it's a big problem even here in town. It's a huge issue.
Conventional wisdom would tell me, though, that if you promote the community and if you promote all the good things that the gaming community has,
Again,
the
Gerald,
money will follow.
You are
make
using
too much
words
sense.
like conventional wisdom.
Well, I know
You
that
could make a good video game movie with conventional wisdom.
all these video game sites could band together to create a larger audience. But yes, I know from firsthand experience
and then
how
you
frustrating that could be.
And then you see stuff instead of they're losing their community, which I'll throw Kotaku under the bus. They're losing their community. So instead of trying to build that community, they start having half of their articles being just tags to other like IO9 and other stuff that's kind
That's
of
related by
to
the
gaming.
same
And then it's all
master
just
group.
clickbait, and they're just going back and forth. So you might have a like
There's like a 3-paragraph article on average for them.
well, how did the Star Wars? Okay, how did the Star Wars stuff on Kotaku a couple days ago, the Comic-Con announcements, have over 1 million views and 7 comments? That's because people were just clicking into it from a different site and realizing they didn't care because it was clickbait. That's not building a community. That's not strengthening anything. That's
Well,
just,
this is the difference between likes and true engagement when we talk about social media analytics, right? You can have 1,000 likes, but what's that engagement level? You have 10,000 people like your page, but what does it really mean?
But unfortunately, on the business side of it, those likes prove viewership, and that proves to your
Sure.
advertisers that you're doing something quote unquote right or wrong.
There's something there.
Yeah, but it's the same thing with YouTube. It's the same thing with Twitch. The same with all that. There's some people who do it really well, and there's others who just do it. I mean, it's clickbait for a lot of it. And it sucks. It's these little tiny articles.
You won't believe what happens when you watch this video.
Yeah.
What?
Exactly.
Right after this.
Or even major news sites are doing it now. I mean, I try to keep current. It's just it's half the headline. You can't, no matter how you change the template, you cannot see the whole headline until you click it, and then you realize you don't care.
Henderson becomes unstoppable. Ellipsis.
At Retro. Yes.
Retro City? Question mark? What is that? Click. Click, click, click.
Fair enough. No,
But yeah, I think there's a place for mom and pop independent retailers in the video game landscape. I think Doug illustrated a bunch of points.
And I think there's also, there's room for both, though. I mean,
I think one helps the other. It's a symbiosis.
Because I mean,
it's a $10 word for it.
And I have to say, as much as we talk about building that experience, there
in Scrabble?
There is a pretty
64 points.
There is a big chunk of the community that doesn't care about that. They don't want that, and that's fine. And they can get that elsewhere, or
or
even
online.
here. Exactly, and they can just, if it's just about making the purchase, there's tons of other ways to do that. We understand that, and I get it. And people come in
But
here
the
don't
great
wanna be
thing about
bothered,
that is
but-
you can handle that too.
Exactly,
Because it's
yeah.
still on the shelf.
Agreed. Yeah, it's different, and that's why, like you said, they both help each other.
Sure.
Before I let you go, best video game movie you've ever seen.
Video game movie?
A movie that is related to
Premise.
video games somehow.
See?
Pokemon 2000.
Oh yeah, Nintendo Quest.
I set him up for that one.
I gave him the stare of death.
You have to mess with it.
Thanks a lot.
No, you haven't seen Nintendo Quest? It's an amazing movie.
Aside from Nintendo Quest.
Aside from Nintendo Quest. It's a hard question, isn't it?
Picky? I couldn't really name one that I think is that good.
Okay.
And therein lies the problem.
Therein lies.
Everything that I want to see manifest from even modern stuff, like, no, I actually will say, and everybody's going to hate me for this, the Mario movie.
Okay.
I don't really understand why that movie gets so much hate. because I don't see how.
Just because it's so different from the game.
Well, but how could you? Would anybody really seriously think about it? The game is about a plumber who breaks bricks.
It's not about logic; it's about similarity.
Okay, but if you watched that in video form.
Yeah, they had a whole cartoon series that was half decent as an animated thing.
Yeah, but as a live action, it would be awful.
I'm just saying, dog.
It'd be awful.
It's the difference that threw people off. Post-apocalyptic wasteland garbage town of the Mushroom Kingdom. Ugh.
Makes sense.
Weird. Left field.
But just
what's
your
not weird about Mario?
Like just your hesitation in answering that question.
Oh yeah, no, I had to dig
That
deep.
is the problem. That's why we, going
You're
back
just
to
a
that
hipster.
subject.
That's what you are. You're a hipster.
Oh god.
You're a Mario movie hipster.
Oh god.
Doug's the biggest hipster.
I'm out.
There you go.
No, I don't know. The one movie that I really wanted to be good, and then I found out The Rock was in it. I thought Doom. I thought Doom was going to be the best, worst movie ever. I literally thought it was going to be just a complete pile of crap, but I was going to come out of it just loving it. And it, like, how do you take a plot as simple as gates of hell are open, kill demons, and then turn it into a chromosome manipulation, extra chromosome, and yeah, what the hell was that? Like, yeah. I don't
Alas, Hollywood.
And then even
the
like,
Hollywood quotient.
the first person part was kind of cool, but
overplayed.
Yeah, I don't.
Thanks for the cameo.
My bad.
Live at Retro City.
I tried to warn her the whole time.
Yeah.
Oh, no worries.
No, I mean, I'm sure you guys have already talked about it. What are your guys'?
What games did we mention? As
No,
movies?
the movies. Wreck-It Ralph, probably just for me.
I actually haven't seen Wreck-It Ralph.
You should. That one's pretty good.
I lean towards like the documentary side of
King of
things.
Kong.
King of Kong for sure.
I like Atari Game Over. He's not as fond of it as I am.
I know I haven't seen the whole thing yet. I know you said it's.
What does that say? What does that say?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But when you can only go on one hand the number of films, I believe.
I mean,
there
The
is a
Wizard is a soft spot for me. I mean, there's a lot of nostalgia in that.
But if you look at it as a straight movie,
it works as a story. It works.
Kind of.
It works.
It's a good movie, though.
I didn't say it was a good movie. I said there's a soft spot for me.
I mean,
war games, stuff like that. Tron.
Is it Ratchet and Clank or Sly Cooper they're doing right now?
Sly Cooper. And Ratchet and Clank.
But why? Like,
because they can do a CG animated version that is of that variety. And at least with Sly Cooper, it's a heist movie. It's an understandable concept with animated animals. There's so much that works on the surface.
No, I get that, but there hasn't been a.
Well, this is where the movie's going to be better than the game.
There's been a great Sly Cooper movie.
Well, this is where the movie will overperform the game.
But you have the fan base that's really going to go, oh, Sly Cooper, I have to go see that. Are you going to have
They're
like
going to sell families on animated characters.
maybe that's a positive because they're going to try and reach a larger audience anyways. Maybe sometimes there's a stigma when you have, it's trying to cater to the video game audience and not to a larger audience. The ultimate success is to a larger audience.
I mean, on the cutesy family side, I mean, like something like Little Big Planet, I think could be.
Or Kirby. I mean, Kirby would make a great thing.
I agree, but Nintendo, just the idea.
Well, they're developing concepts now, so.
Are they going to manifest? I mean, because we keep seeing that from Microsoft as well.
No,
the Halo movie,
coming.
the Gears of War movie. Dwayne the Rock is going to be in
everything.
Gears of War, and then he's not. And then Halo,
don't get me started on the Halo project.
We have a script done.
What's ended
Steven Spielberg attached.
We have a $6 million commercial that was fan made. You know what I mean? Like
the recent Halo projects that were shown on the Xbox One were quite disappointing. Really, really low.
Well, Atari Game Over as a result of that initial surge into all that stuff, and well, that was it.
So I think we're gonna wrap it up here. Chris, any last thoughts? Any final thoughts? Any thoughts?
Well done.
You should go back to Liberty House and shell out way overpriced. Go see Nintendo Quest because it rocks.
There you go.
Look at what you got, Pilot Wings there?
For my girl, yeah.
Oh, okay. You're getting non-Sega related pickups.
No.
What you got there? Clax, Eternal Champions, and Jungle Strike. Nice.
Nice.
These are for her.
Sure.
She did win that $50 gift certificate, so I
Ah,
had to
cool.
give her a
Yeah,
little bit.
right. Yeah.
There you go.
Well done. Safe.
at the Retro City Games screening
Cheers, buddy.
of Nintendo Quest.
There
I
you
might
go.
There you go. Plug.
once again, a lot of screenings coming up for Nintendo Quest.
Yeah, Power Tour rolls on. Next up, Austin and Houston.
Tug.com and NintendoQuest.com.
Tug us in public all over the U.S. Nintendo Quest, that is. NintendoQuest.com. Links for everything. Help us get the movie out there.
How far are you willing to go for a screening? That's what I wanted to ask.
What do you mean, how far am I willing to go? We're not necessarily... We can't promise that we'll be at these screenings that get tugged.
Okay.
But if you tug us hard enough, we will try to come to see the screening.
Although you have one in the UK, there's a screening in the UK coming up.
In Cambridge, yes, on July 25th. So we're going to Skype into that, which is also exciting.
So hard. Definitely something to look forward to too as well.
That's why she's tugging.
I'm interested to see how that goes, to see audience and how they
and
relate.
it's for like a computer museum crowd for like a Nintendo appreciation night. So it should be like our core of core fan base. So that'll be interesting.
Absolutely.
And it's put on by Nintendo Life too. So
that's NintendoQuest.com for all your info there.
Yep.
Retro City Games on Facebook to get all your latest info for Retro City Games. And also follow us again, www.yourgamesource.com, at GameSource on Twitter, and GameSource on Facebook. Give us some likes. We're the leading aggregate news story as far as 40,000 articles that we've posted regarding the video game world.
40,000!
That's right. If you want to know what's going on in the video game world, there's no better place to go than GameSource. So, for Chris, Killer X Wolf.
I'm back here behind the camera.
There he is.
Got Doug, Retro City Games.
Hold on.
Got the director of Nintendo Quest, Rob McCallum.
Thanks for having me.
And me, yes, Elvis Lives. Once again, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We appreciate it. And have yourself a great evening. It's another beautiful day in paradise.
Happy birthday.
Do you love games, breathe games, and bleed games? Then this is the crew for you. If you are interested in editorial, podcasting, live events, and exclusive content, make sure to hit us up at info@yourgamesource.com and become part of a team that is dedicated to delivering all the greatest and latest in gaming news and content, all here at yourgamesource.com.